To Colorado's homeless crisis, it is only getting worse.
Dedicated campsites made up of ice fishing tents.
Officials say that this is the type of weather that you can die in.
I am on my way to meet somebody currently experiencing homelessness in Denver. Not just anybody, but I'm going to meet Emily. She is currently in Denver at a motel where she gratefully is able to stay because of TikTok. She posted a couple videos on there and got like 3 or 4 million views, and people blew up her PayPal, so that's the only reason she's able to stay there. We're running into the winter months of Colorado where I think tonight's supposed to get like, it's in the negatives, negative like 10 degrees. So she is very grateful that she gets to stay in a hotel. Let's go meet Emily. I'm Emily Brown. I'm autistic, transgender, and homeless in Denver, Colorado. And this is Addison. I've had her since she was a puppy. She was originally supposed to be an emotional support dog for my now ex-wife, and she's stuck with me, and she's my baby, she's my poop head. She has literally kept me going. I have been homeless since it was mid-September of this year. Officially homeless since mid-September this year. I got into Denver about mid-October, right after my birthday. I stayed with a friend who I had met through a friend online for a couple of days and then hit the streets. What's the biggest issue for one person isn't necessarily going to be the same for everyone. But what I've run into, the 3 issues that I have observed that seem to be the biggest problems here in Denver. One is just people not being able to be anywhere. Not having a place that they can sleep. If you're not letting somebody find a place to sleep and you're not giving somebody a place to sleep, you've blocked them from being able to take care of one of their basic needs. They don't have the means to do it, you've trapped them. And if you trap somebody, they're going to get desperate. And desperate people are more likely to act in undesirable ways, like turning to drugs to medicate away the despair of it all, or turning to criminal activities to try to fulfill those needs. And then with the winter, trying to keep shelter from the cold, like I said, if I get the tent properly going and under the blanket and everything like that, I can tank some pretty cold temperatures. But outside of that, no, I can't. So making it out there, the hardest part is getting my stuff around, and that's kind of why I got this. I started out with a different cart. This is actually my 3rd one, because I had the other 2 get busted. One of them had a broken tire from falling off a curb. Another one, the wheels just wore out. This one has a busted front wheel, which makes getting around with it a bit of a challenge, but fortunately the back ones worked pretty well. Had a flat tire on it a while too, but we got that fixed. This is kind of the core of everything. All of my stuff that I have a way to pack it into this. Like, it's a pretty tight fit. It's like playing Tetris, but we can get it all in there. Unfortunately, I don't have room for her to ride on it when everything is packed, which kind of sucks, because she is old. She does have bad hips, and it is hard on her to go too far too fast. Oh, we've got the tent. Now, this thing was given to me right before I became homeless by a friend, for the purpose of me having something to set up while I'm homeless. Unfortunately, this thing is not held up very well. One of the tent poles broke, and it splinters with the fiberglass, so I can't use the poles to set it up anymore. Other parts of it are now starting to rip, so I can't keep wind out of it, which makes it... the last time I used it, it was pretty drafty and cold. So if I end up going back out on foot, I'm going to have to replace this, which I can do right now, thanks to all the people who lit up my damn PayPal, but it will have to be replaced. I've got the sleeping bag here. This was a gift from the same person. It's a good cold weather sleeping bag for the most part. It's rated to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I definitely wouldn't want to sleep in just this. I was using this. This was given to me by a local activist. He used it when he hiked the mountains when he was younger. It's helped a lot as far as ground cover, and I will usually throw this on top of it, and it's very important to have the ground cover when you're trying to make it out there on the street in the winter, because the ground will just suck the heat right out of you into the ground if you don't have enough layers, more than what that offers. So this is not the hotel's, this is mine. This has been why we haven't froze to death. This thing is very warm. The coldest nights that we've had in the Denver area, if we're in the tent and under this, we're warm. Also, for her ground cover, we used this. I found this on the streets of Kansas City, just lying around. She doesn't like to stay on it, so I've actually bought her a dog bed that I'm going to replace this with. We got drenched one time. Fortunately, it wasn't super cold yet, but we got drenched in that thing, and that was very unpleasant. And just soaked right through the tent and into our sleeping gear. I have been privileged. This was a gift of a few years back. Somebody gave it to me because I was living without power where I was at, and carrying it around with me. It's been hard to, they cover up almost all the plugins around town because homeless people could use them. So keeping things like my phone charged has been a challenge. This has helped a little bit. It's not enough, especially in the wintertime, but it's better than nothing. A lot of what I try to keep is dry food and stuff that I can cook easy. I try to eat healthy. It's hard when you can't, when you're on a budget. I try to go for the whole grains when I can. They're actually not that much more expensive, so... dried foods, canned foods get a little heavy, but I can carry a few canned meats and things with me, because it's some refrigerated and perishable stuff will keep a lot longer than people give it credit for. I've carried butter with me. I've carried other stuff like that with me, or I've carried something refrigerated. I'd keep it with me for a day. Mostly, though, because it's hard to find a place to cook, I've had to eat out, which I hate doing because it's expensive and it's terrible for you. It's one of the reasons I've kind of blown up like a balloon. The other being a soda habit. How I did my cooking out there, I've got a couple of options. This is a portable... This is a portable wood-burning stove, and I'm not going to unfold it because I don't want to make a mess. I'm afraid it'll... But it folds up and it unfolds, and I've got a little hatchet, and I can chop stuff up, wood that I find around and burn it in here. Actually, the wood in Colorado here burns a lot easier than the wood where I was from previously, so that's made using this a bit more convenient, but finding places to use it is a challenge, because you get a lot of laws and regulations, even if you're being safe. you kind of got to be a little stealthy and careful about where you can use it. Of course, no way you're using that in town. What I use a little bit more is this. It's an alcohol stove. And the fuel I use is this right here. It's pretty much pure methyl alcohol. It burns really good and it burns clean. The byproducts are carbon dioxide and water vapor. So I've been able to use it even in not perfectly ventilated spaces, interior spaces. And it cooks pretty hot. And because it doesn't look like you're lighting a whole fire, I can get away with using it a few more places. But again, finding places to set up and cook is a real challenge, and that's why one of the reasons I haven't been able to cook hardly at all out there is because you want to make sure you're setting up that it's not going to trigger a cop or a Karen to come shut you down. So it's a proceed with caution kind of thing. Still gotten away with it a few times. That just smothers the flame if there was a flame in there. Out there, I've got this. This is just a pump sprayer. The only thing that's ever been in it, as far as I know, is clean water, and that's what's in it now. And I had a squirt bottle for a while, a spray bottle. It just wasn't cutting it. But I can use this to wash hands and wash dishes. I just stick it in that thing. It's a little bit of weight, of course, when it's full, because it's a gallon. But you got to carry water with you no matter what. And I hate being nasty, and I hate not being able to wash my hands. I am a little bit of a germaphobe, admittedly. So this is kind of have to. I had a bigger one of these where I lived before that I used to shower with because I didn't have running water. It worked pretty well. Just a couple gallons, you could take a whole shower. I keep a first aid kit. Just stuff I was a prepper before I became homeless, so I hoarded a few things, and then I've got a few things here. With all the nasty stuff people smoke. Fentanyl. With all the fentanyl out there, I've got a few Narcan in here because I've ran into people who were very much under the influence before, and I figured it's just a matter of time before I run into somebody overdosing on that poison. The third part of the problem, which might be the crux that the other two sit on, that I see is the apathy. Just from regular people. Or maybe not even apathy all the time. Sometimes you get sympathy, but it's a very self-centered sympathy. It's people looking to do things to make themselves feel better, not people looking to improve a situation. Like, I've had a lot of situations where people have helped me out a lot. I have gotten a lot of help as far as material resources. Addison is a huge part of the reason why for that, because everyone wants to come be her friend, and then they want to give her treats and food, and they might give me something too. Or they'll hand me some money and say, hey, this is for her, spend it on her. When she has everything, she's got everything that I can buy her. But it's actually kind of disheartening how people will help a dog but not a person. I mean, I get seeing a dog as important, but I don't get seeing a person as less important than a dog. She's very important to me. She's very important to me. She's my baby. The night that I made those videos, I got really cold after I made them because I didn't have a place to do shelter. I made sure she stayed warm. That's one of the big issues. If they're going to do a camping ban, they need to provide a way out. I mean, Tactics 101. You don't leave somebody with no escape. You don't. Because that's when they start acting erratic and desperate. Though it almost kind of seems like they want that to happen, because then they can criminalize the homeless problem more and maybe kill a few people off in the process so they don't have to deal with us. The second part of the problem is related to that. And that's the services. I have called so many services, and they've got all of these navigators and all of these people that are supposed to help you, but they're always passing the buck to another one. It's always hot potato. It's always, we can't do anything, here's somebody else. Oh, we can't do anything, here's somebody else. So nobody has to take responsibility. None of the pieces have to take responsibility for the whole machine going bad. I don't think that's the case. I think they all bear responsibility for it. I think they're all part of the problem, because they're all comprising that system, and they have to know they are. They can't be that oblivious. But the bureaucracy, the game of hot potato of tossing people around, I know it's kept me from finding any resources. It's a huge part of the reason, because I spent several days just making phone calls and getting turned away on multiple occasions. Treat somebody like a person. And the test of that is that when I raise issues like, well, what I really need to do is sleep. I really need someone to call the city and complain that they're not letting us sleep, and they get all offended. I say, well, what we really need to do is hold the city and the police accountable for how they're treating people. The citizens need to hold their government accountable, and people don't like that at all. There's a NIMBY attitude, a not in my backyard attitude. There's this liberal savior self-righteous attitude of which you get with a lot of marginalized get toward a lot of marginalized communities, where they want to decide what you need. You see that with a lot of the resources too. That's why they have a lot of the arbitrary stipulations, is because they're deciding what you need. They're deciding what you should have, and not empowering homeless people over their situation and what they need, not finding ways to build them up to have control over the situation and get to the point where maybe they can even solve some of their own problems. I would love to be in a situation where I'm not just gimme, 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 but creating solutions to my own problems. It gets really old being dependent on other people, because you can't assert those boundaries as much, and it makes you feel like a child, and you're always having to be grateful just to get the basic right to survive that everybody else has. I see a lot of that, and then I see a lot of people that just absolutely ignore the situation. I mean, I had a breakdown on Thanksgiving night. I've had it easy, and I know how hellish it's been for me having it easy. So I've seen others out there who've had it a lot worse. And I do have some privilege. She's privileged. She's an advantage. Being able to put on a face when I need to is an advantage. I've had people tell me I come off as more civilized. That's an advantage. And that's just privilege. That's all incidental. That doesn't make me more worthy. And those are things that others out there don't have, and that makes it a lot harder for them. And that's bullshit, because they're people too. So yeah.
Off camera at Emily's, there was a couple things that we talked about that weren't on camera. She has food, she has a dog, she has a little bit of money. The one thing she said that she needed was a car. I brought the idea up of a GoFundMe to her. She told me no. She said that the only reason or way she would set up a GoFundMe account is if she was setting it up to help others. She wants to help other homeless people. She's more concerned about them than she is about herself. And I thought that was pretty incredible.